and yeah, we'll just see. Like, I think it's going to be a hard, gritty race as it always is, and that's the kind of race that I like. So I'm always excited to race against everyone. I think it's great that Martin has made the trip over here. It's a hard course to get to for Europeans, and so anytime that a European comes, I think I have a huge amount of respect for that, because it's not easy to get to. And of course, like Trevor and I have had battles the last 2 years, and so we'll look forward to going at it with him again this year, and we'll see what happens. So where do I see the race being won is super hard to predict, because I mean, as we've seen, like, it could be anywhere. Like, it could be early on in the run, or it could be, I mean, Trevor passed me 2 years ago with like a mile and a half to go. So it really could happen anywhere, and you really just have to be ready to go the whole distance.
There you go, some insights there from Matthew Marquardt, who's a calm individual most of the time and races with his heart on his sleeve, and, like you say, the swishy left hand. It looks like he's conducting a symphony there as he's going along on his own. Maybe that's what he's doing in his head. Maybe there's some music that's playing in his head at the moment.
I'm sure people have tried to correct that and said that there's an inefficiency to it. It is signature Marquardt, but to your point, conducting an orchestra, keeping his own rhythm, certainly keeps his momentum moving. And some things you can change, and some things there are general run form cues, but everyone's got their own stride and their own way of getting it done, and that is Matthew Marquardt. But we come back to Rachel Zelinskis in our women's race, as our leaders are now through 153 kilometers. Sanchez and Finley continue to lead, with Zelinskis, who is sitting 2:26 behind. Sodaro at 4:27 behind. Lisa Percher at 7:44 behind. She has dispensed of Grace Tech. They were together for a while. Grace Tech at 9 minutes back. Lara Hernandez Tome at 12:22 back. And Tamara Jewett right on that 20 minutes back. 19:35 back for Tamara Jewett, with several kilometers still to ride for the women.
Yeah, Marta Sanchez, Paula Finlay are riding well faster than just about anybody else. Lisa Perter is there or thereabouts, but through the last few splits, those two are at least a kilometre, if not 2 or even nearly 3 kilometres an hour faster than those who are chasing them, and they're the only two that are together. So there's obviously they're great athletes, but it also helps when there's two of you working together, and between the two of them, Sanchez and Finlay, they've got about a 50% chance of either one of those two athletes winning in our projections at the moment. Whereas athletes like Lisa Perter, Chelsea Sodaro, Grace Tech, as we're running out of race to have, are starting to lose a little bit of potential victory in terms of percentage anyway, as Van Riel continues on his way, and he's not having any of the fastest splits at the moment, Martin Van Riel. Matthew Marquardt is consistently at least 3 and sometimes as much as 8 seconds a kilometre faster than Van Riel is at the moment. Foley's picked up a few faster splits as well. So Van Riel is slowly being Van Rieled in. There you go. I didn't even write that one ahead of time. I just rolled it out.
You've been saving that all day, haven't you?
No, I haven't. That was just a bolt from the blue, just a bit of inspiration from the gods above, and he's being Van Rieled in by Matthew Marquardt, who's now 1:15 back and taking a few seconds each kilometre out. And slowly Matthew Marquardt, who doesn't want to be denied a victory, a back-to-back victory, and if anyone's going to break the course record, he wants it to be him breaking his own course record. He doesn't want a European coming over here and stealing it. This is Matthew's place. We will see. And we're going to have a look soon at the Hoka Run course and exactly what these athletes are going to face. In fact, we're going to do it right now. Obviously 26.2. It's 2 loops. There's rolling hills, steep pitches as well. We've been past the ski jump. You saw that. It's go out on River Road. It's completely serene, and serene's the same word for lonely. They've had a really fast downhill start. They'll have to do that again. They make a 180-degree turn at the end of River Road. They climb all the way back. There's plenty to look at, whether it be along Mirror Lake, you can see there, or along the golf course as well. And then they finish at this historic Olympic speed skating oval, which is where the transition is as well. And so plenty to look at, but also plenty of lonely places to find out exactly how good you are against some of these other men and women.
Yeah, you talk about...
Right now, it's Martin Van Riel's losing time.
Yeah, you talk about this run course and how it changed when this became an Ironman Pro Series race. The section that was added was that section along the golf course. What they did was shorten the out and back along River Road, which is the flatter, kind of more rolly section. But by adding that golf course out and back, that is another hilly section that will throw added challenge at these athletes. This is one of the more hilly courses on the Ironman circuit, second only, I believe, to Ironman Wales. So coming off what is, I think, the third hilliest bike course on the Ironman circuit behind Lanzarote and Wales as well, the 1-2 punch of a hilly bike with a really challenging run is something else for these athletes. So yeah, by swapping out a little bit of a longer out and back on River Road and adding in that golf course section, added some elevation to this course, added challenge for the athletes out here today. Scenic, but hard.
Scenic, but hard. It sounds about right. It sounds about right for almost every Ironman. As we go back to Paula Finlay again, who is gathering more data about whether or not she's a good Ironman athlete, and I think at the moment all signs point to green. And she, as a result of that, is now got her largest gap at the front of the field yet. It is only 9 seconds to Marta Sanchez. Those two have been stuck together the entire time. And that's the biggest gap we've seen. We saw Marta get 8 seconds in front of Paula and then get reeled back in. And they're putting more time, though, the pair into the chasers. Zelinska's 2:23 and Sodaro 4:24. We're at the 164-kilometre mark for the women, which means it's climbing time again. And the question is, does Paula Finlay go soft pedal up the climbs as she's been told to do or has told herself to do, or whether she goes, we've got 15 k's to go, I'm off, I'm out, let's go, let's put some time in, I'm feeling good. We're going to find out with the splits as they come in, but during that time, during that last 15 k's in the first loop, she was the quickest out there by quite a margin too in some of the splits. So we'll see if she does that again.
Yeah, definitely would set herself up well to be able to tackle the opening kilometers of the marathon at her own pace, perhaps without the stress of Marta Sanchez, but you have to weigh that against, burning a match to tackle those climbs on what have to be pretty tired legs at this point, no matter who you are, and no matter how well you've biked. I think these last climbs into town can be challenging. So you weigh that out. I think in your first Ironman, it would be a blessing to be on your own in the opening kilometers of the run course. So for Paula Finlay, she's got to weigh that again against storming these hills. And again, even if she does, there's no telling that she's able to get away from Marta Sanchez, who has proven that she is a very, very solid cyclist indeed.
Yeah, true. And we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be with you all the way into Transition 2 for your leader in this one, a debutante at the Iron Distance, Paula Finlay of Canada, debuting at 37 years of age. Love to see it. We'll be back very soon from Lake Placid.
It's the beauty of Oman. Our tradition, our hospitality, the sounds of limitless opportunities to explore. Listen, it's Oman.
She said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
Welcome back to Lake Placid and the 27th edition of the Ironman here, brought to you by Ruvi, the indoor cycling experience, and by Precision Hydration. Perform at your best with precision, fuel and hydration. And just looking at the splits, I've discovered a new screen on our timing data, which I didn't know was there. And it shows the splits coming up and down on each timing. And Matthew Marquardt started this run 135 back. Through the last split, 111 back. He's running 335 kilometre pace. Martin Van Riel running 337, so it's not much difference. But you can see the time slowly going down. So we've got, no doubt, a projected, at some point, a projected pass based on these speeds. Trevor Foley as well running 333 pace. So he started 656 back. He's 636 back now. And in fact, there you go. Look at that projected pass popped up just like I planned it, which I did not at all plan it. But it just shows you the pass at coming up 22 kilometres or 13.7 miles. So not much between them, but at this pace, if it all stays the same, there will be a pass. Jason West coming through now too. He is running 3:29 pace. He's the fastest out on course at the moment. The only running sub 3:30s.
I will say that he's still quite a ways back, and that includes a heavier percentage of that steep downhill out of town. So that might be a little deceiving, but we'll see if he can hold that once the course flattens out. But he again goes through his next timing segment at 3:35K, which is the fastest of any on course through that segment. So of the 5 segments that Jason's run through, he's been fastest on course through 2 of them. So, you know, giving the indication that Jason West is moving well and moving quickly and could move up the rankings pretty considerably throughout this marathon.
Gee, it sounds lonely out there.
It does.
Could hear a pin drop out there right now.
100%.
I just like listening to it. Just thinking left, right, keep going, keep your form good, keep your shoulders up, keep the turnover good. And now it's an honest performance required. And Martin Van Riel will be getting splits out there from the odd random passerby from time to time. And he'll probably know that he's lost about 20 seconds in speed to Marquardt, who is still conducting his own little symphony here and doing so with quality speed. And, you know, sometimes you feel like he's right on the cusp in terms of the way he runs, but he'll just continue to run exactly like that for 42 kilometres. And that's seen him get there before. And then you look at someone like Trevor Foley, who looks, when you compare him in a one-on-one shot to Marquardt, like it looks like he's jogging compared to Matthew Marquardt, but he's not at all. He's actually running faster or equal to. He's just got such a fluid running style.
So efficient, such a quiet upper body in the way that he moves, especially when you compare it to Matthew Marquardt there. And excellent job running the tangents here. As the athletes, this is a very sort of curvy section of the course, a little windy, and shortest point between shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So athletes mindful at this point, and that's again something that excuse me, if your concentration lapses and you fail to run those tangents, you can add just seconds here and there. But
you sound like you're going to cry there, mate. Is everything all right? Don't cry.
I got a piece of cheese stuck in my throat. You told me it wasn't fueling properly, then I go and eat, and now I'm going to choke. But Trevor Foley
didn't eat for 6 hours. Now she's choked on a piece of cheese.
Trevor Foley, also a veteran on this course. He's been champion. He's been on the podium He knows this run course well. Let's see what Trevor Foley had to say about this Hoka run course.
Yeah, I think, like I said, when you're racing a guy like Van Riel, and then obviously, I mean, Marquardt, you know, won this race last year. You're gonna have to go under 240. I think going under 240 here, like probably it's gonna take like 233 to 236. Like definitely running right around there, which I'd imagine is probably like a 230 low on a flat course. So yeah, probably in the mid 230s, which on this course is gonna be a mother to do. So yeah, that's if you wanna take the win, that's what it's gonna take, I'd imagine.
He reminds me, if you shut your eyes, he could be Matthew McConaughey, like an early Matthew McConaughey. Super laid back. He's like, all right, I'm going to run 233. I like him. He's got a laid back attitude, and we've talked about that before. And he looks good. He looks good right now, and maybe he's not going out as hard and fast, and he's learning as an athlete and growing and making the turn right now.
And Will, just for one
it's just so empty, isn't it?
Yeah, just for 1 second, I want to draw your attention back to the women's race where Paula Findlay has opened up through 170 kilometers, an 11-second gap over Marta Sanchez. Now, that's not a lot of time, and we have seen that balloon out to 7-8 seconds in both directions with either woman at the front of that. But I think 11 seconds, again, we're talking seconds, but is a slightly bigger gap than we had seen between the two of them. And again, they are on the hilly section coming back into town. So it could be Paula extending her lead. We'll continue to monitor that. So far, those are the only two women beyond 170 kilometers. Rachel Zelinskis will be next through at 3:19 back. We'll see how that gap has moved, but slight separation in the women's race between Paula Findlay and Marta Sanchez.
And Martin Van Riel seems to have steadied the ship somewhat. So he was 113 ahead at 5.6 Ks. Then he was 111 ahead only at 6.6 and 7.6. And now at 8.5, he's back at 113 again. So it stayed basically steady, the gap between Van Riel and Marquardt between 5.6 Ks and 8.5. And I think it's Van Riel slightly getting into his run rather than Marquardt dropping off the pace a little bit. And Van Riel's just gone down to an average pace of 3:35. So he's taken about 4 or 5 seconds a K out of his run pace, and he started to move a little bit harder. Maybe he wasn't as pacey down the downhills as Marquardt, and now he's on the flat.
I would
he's just feeling a little bit more. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say that actually is probably just really smart pacing, because the net downhill on the way out, he is now net uphill running back. While it is mostly rolling here along River Road, the net is downhill outbound, uphill inbound. So the fact that he's picked up the pace on the net uphill portion of the race, to me, says that this was a pacing strategy to really take the downhill nice and easy. And it could be that he's just falling into his rhythm, and it took him a few Ks to get there. But that is a very positive sign for Martin Van Riel.
Yeah, it's probably he's just heard a lot about. There's a lot of chat pre-race around, you can fry your quads on the down. Probably just it's sunk in and just thought, I need to take it easy on this downhill part. And Matthew Marquardt just does like he does everything at 110%, and just his quads are twice the size of Martin Van Riel's. So he's like, I'm fine, I'm going to head down here, no problem. But now it's kind of evened out, and he's put time also into Foley. Van Riel has as well. And but the big move is still Jason West, who's moving in on Cameron Worth.
The other thing that's super interesting is you had mentioned it when we reviewed the course map here. This entire course is a section of out and backs. So this is really the first chance Martin Van Riel has had to see how strung out the men are behind him, right? Not only is he getting splits since he's made the U-turn on how close Marquardt is, how fast Trevor Foley is moving, but he's going to see all of these guys and I think be astonished by the time gaps that have been sort of defined this race almost from the start in the swim. How spread out these guys are is very, very unusual.
Yeah, you have an out and back. You turn around at 5 miles roughly, and then another one at around 10 miles, and then another one at around 12 and a half. So, and then you do that twice. So you do get regular updates and intervals on where everybody is. And I think you're right. It's and he'll know, he'll feel as well that he is steady with Marquardt. If he is indeed between the first and second turnaround, so he'll know what he needs to do to manage this race from the front as we go back to the women's, and we continue to see a little gap now between Finlay and Sanchez at the last count. They're into the last 10 kilometres of the bike now, and the last of the big hills. And then Paula Finlay will come into Ruby T2 leading her debut Ironman. And this bodes well really for seeing, because she's one of these athletes that people will want to see at the big races. So not only will she, if things continue well for Paula Finlay, she'll qualify for Kona, but no doubt doing well in a race will continue her appetite for continuing to do long course racing at this level, as well as all the 70.3s that she does. Because she's still got a good few years left in her in terms of, she's 37 years of age now. But it's not a 37 years of age where she's been doing Ironman racing since she was 26, and putting a lot of stress on. She's done a lot of 70.3 racing, but in terms of Ironman, her career is just beginning.
It really is, and the thing that's sort of interesting to me, and not every athlete necessarily feels this in their career, given the amount of success that Paula Finlay has had at the 70.3 distance. But when she talks about Ironman, she talks about it almost as if it's been her destiny. Like, she can't retire without doing an Ironman. This is just something that she felt she had to do in her triathlon career, and not every professional triathlete will feel that way, especially one that's been as successful at the 70.3 distance. She could continue to race 70.3 and win races and stand on the podium, but she really, really felt that it was her destiny to race Ironman. And could we see, the next superstar at the Ironman distance in the making? She certainly has all the tools to make that true as we come back to the men's race. And this is Cameron Worth coming up on Rudy von Berg.
Yeah, Worth in 6th. Yeah, about 12 minutes back on the leaders. Rudy von Berg is just ahead in 5th position, so the race for a top 5 spot is on right now. Jason West 3 minutes behind these pair, but travelling faster. But you heard from Cameron Worth, if you missed it earlier on, he hasn't raced much this year, and he just said he was absolutely... Is frothing just an Australian word? Like,
no.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Frothing to race. So because he's Australian, I'll use that one, but couldn't be more excited to race. And he's well into his 40s now, but he hasn't lost any of his enthusiasm for pushing himself as hard as possible, has Cam Worth. And now he's tracking down Rudy von Berg for a 5th spot. They don't have to worry too much about the Kona qualifications, this pair. They're both qualified already. Behind them, though, West, Hogenhout, Freddie Funk and Dominic Suija are your Kona qualified athletes at the moment. Diego Mentrida is in 11th and the first person who will miss out on those 4 spots. And of course, then there's just 3 left. And if you miss out by 1 spot, well, just go book your ticket to Kalmar.
You're off to Sweden in a month's time. And I'll just say, coming off of Rudy von Berg and Cameron Worth, that duo there was a time not that long ago where I don't think we'd have seen Cameron Worth running stride for stride with Rudy von Berg. That man's run performance has come leaps and bounds. There was a time that Cameron Worth was known as, he can ride a bike. And obviously he put that on display riding for a pro cycling team. But the amount of work he's done to have that run come along, and for him to be matching paces with Rudy von Berg, I think is telling of the work that Cameron Worth, at his age especially, and I hate to say that because as someone who raced professionally into their 50s, that age shouldn't be a consideration, but to be improving your run performance in your late 30s and early 40s as a male, I think is extraordinary. So just wanted to tip my hat to Cameron Worth for that.
If you're improving your run performance at age 42, you need to start from a low base if you're going to keep improving, and you've got to also have an incredible work ethic and a love for it too. And he's 42. He's going to turn 43 in August. And as a man who is 43, I can tell you it hurts me getting out of bed. So Cameron Worth, full respect to you, my friend. Incredible athlete and has done so much. And if you don't know much about his history, just go Google him, and you'll see how good he is at all endurance sports, pretty much. All right, we're at the top end of the last climb here, and back to seeing some people out there on the road. for the age group athletes in their first loop for Paula Findlay and Marta Sanchez in their second loop, which means we're very close to being at the back end of this 180-kilometre bike, the first 180-kilometre bike that Paula Findlay has ever done. So however she's feeling right now, I bet it wasn't what she expected to be feeling. She might be feeling much better than expected. She might be feeling much worse than expected, but no doubt we'll hear from her and she'll say, it wasn't like I thought it was going to be. It was like X, Y, or Z, and probably better than expected considering the position she's in right now and the time she continues to put into such accomplished athletes behind her. Chelsea Sodaro, for example, 5:20 back. She's put time into Chelsea Sodaro in just about every single split across all of them, and she's had so many of the fastest splits out of anyone. In fact, her and Marta Sanchez have basically taken out of maybe 33 splits, I think, between them. They've been fastest in about 27 of them. So those two have been superb.
Absolutely, and a little bit of congestion here along Mirror Lake Drive. They biked past the Northwood School, made that left-hand turn onto Mirror Lake Drive, just not far now, less than a mile or two to the end of this Zoot bike course for these two women, just being mindful of the traffic around them. Paula Findlay's certainly not going to get away from Sanchez at this point. Just too much congestion to do that. She's got to start thinking about what she's got to do in T2, hand that bike off, get her nutrition, et cetera, and set about. Their minds are definitely fast-forwarded to transition and what needs to be done there, but heads-up riding through here. This is the one narrow section of the course, and athletes being extremely careful through here, which is great to see. But Paula Findlay and Marta Sanchez rolling into T2. We'll go down to Haley Chura for her update on that, but still waiting on Zelinskis to get through 175 kilometers. At last check, she was 3:40 back to Chelsea Sodaro, 5:20. Lisa Perder, 8:27. So as the women come to the end of the bike course and start to think about that run that's ahead, big question marks. We know what Marta Sanchez can do. I would bet money on the fact that she's going to run in and around 3 hours, just under, just over. But given her history and her consistency, that seems highly likely. Paula Findlay never run longer than 2 hours before in her life. Big question mark. Chelsea Sodaro coming off surgery, injury, also big question mark. So Rachel Zelinskis, not the strongest runner amongst the top 5 right now, but had a great performance in Arizona. Could we see that again? And of course, Lisa Perder, who is considerably further back at 8:27 back, but has the ability, if she's on a day, to put together a good run split, could run her way possibly onto the podium at this stage.
Yeah, just looking back at some of the others, I mean, Grace Thex, she's done about 750 million 70.3s. She's only done 2 Ironmans, and one of them was a 2:53. That was in Rotherham, 3:03 in Texas. So, and she's about 10 minutes back. And I mean, now we're getting too deep into the weeds, I suppose, as we focus on these two. But Sanchez, I mean, she'll know exactly what she wants to do, and she'll go out and execute her race plan exactly how it always happens. And she's so consistent, as we keep talking about. But Paula Findlay is a total wild card at this point. We don't know what she's done to her legs over the course of this time. I mean, she was, as we heard her say herself, she's more worried about muscle breakdown and muscle durability than she is about her lungs. And so she'll feel fit in the chest, but whether or not she's got the legs to deal with coming off this 180-kilometre bike and then running downhill and then into a long straight stretch and doing it twice, the whole thing, plus the uphill on the way back. I mean, it's all blue sky for Paula Findlay. So Marta Sanchez will just go, well, roll your dice, and you know I'm going to be here. If it comes up snake eyes for you, you know I'm going to be there to take this win.
Yeah, super consistent athlete, Marta Sanchez. I would say one of the most consistent athletes in our field. We're going to throw it down to Haley, who's right there in transition, going to catch these women as they come in. Haley, down to you.
All right, here we go. Paula Findlay off the bike first. We saw a little grimace from her, but she looks like, honestly, she's running great. Marta Sanchez right behind her. Marta has that quick turnover, and they are headed into T2. I think they both look happy to be off the bike, but truly happy to be at the them come off, I mean, they have each other. They've obviously been able to ride together. I think that that helps take the mental load off of pacing, and I think that they are somewhat evenly matched athletes on the run. These are athletes, as you mentioned, that we've seen race the Ironman distance together before. Marta raced here last year, as we've said many times. Paula's first Ironman marathon, first marathon today. But maybe having Marta with her as a more experienced Ironman athlete could help Paula. We'll have to see when they get out on the run, but I think it is kind of nice for Paula to have Marta right with her as she heads into transition. And like I said, Paula gave a little bit of a grimace, but I think that's Paula. She's a very honest athlete. She's not going to sugarcoat anything, and she did just swim 2.4 miles, rode 112 miles, and is leading her very, very first Ironman. She knows the challenge that is in front of her, but we have Paula-like conditions here. The Canadian athlete has said she likes the cooler temperatures. We have a little bit of a breeze. The sun comes out every once in a while, but it is a little bit of a breeze. It's a little bit on the cooler side still. Marta Sanchez, she's from Spain, but I know she has fans here in Lake Placid. This morning at Bike Personal Needs Check-In, I actually met Amy, who had traveled from New Jersey to volunteer and cheer for Marta. So just because she is from Spain, the people in Lake Placid, they know her, they appreciate her, and they are cheering for her. We're sitting here waiting for Rachel Zelinskis, is our expected third athlete who will come into transition, and we know she is a couple minutes behind. Didi, I know earlier you mentioned Rachel maybe not being the strongest runner in this front group, but I kind of take issue with that. I actually think Rachel is an incredibly strong runner. I texted with her mom, Susan Zelinskis, earlier today, and Susan herself is an incredible Ironman athlete, has already qualified to race Kona as an age grouper. Susan said Rachel is healthy and incredibly motivated. She would not show up at this race unless she was ready to compete. So I think we're only seeing the beginning of Rachel's string of healthy races, and I'm excited to see how she can put together on this run course. She has run this course several times before, been just off the podium, so I think motivated might mean she would like to be in that top 3 today, if not, as high as she possibly could get. So we'll wait for Rachel to come in. Behind Rachel, we're looking for Chelsea Sodero. Again, possibly the fastest runner if she's healthy. Her coach earlier, Neil Henderson, said she is, so we'll see what kind of split we can expect from Chelsea. For now, I'll throw it back to you in the studio.
And we won't say that there's a bias there from a fellow Georgia Bulldog to another Georgia Bulldog swimmer between Haley Chura and Rachel Zelinskis, but Haley putting her money on Rachel. Again, my comment, no. Again, as we take a look at our experience Oman first off the bike, full respect to Paula Findlay from Canada, 4:50.26. But again, on paper, Rachel Zelinskis has not yet turned in a marathon performance that is close to 3 hours, 3:06. She's closing in on it. Today could be the day. Again, no slight to her, but at least her past results do not indicate that she could hold pace with a Marta Sanchez or possibly a Paula Findlay. We don't know what Paula Findlay can do so far, but cheering for you, Rachel, truly.
2 points there. Number one, yes, Haley is wildly biased towards Rachel Zelinskis, and that's fine. That's okay. You kind of pretended that she wasn't Inez Zelinskis on screen, but we both know that she was, and that is completely fine. And more power to her. And Rachel Zelinskis obviously off the bike and into her work. And secondly, that was a bike course record from our debutante, Paula Findlay, who takes the bike course record from Marta Sanchez, who set it in 2025. Sanchez set a 4:51.25. We have now gone into the 4:50.26 category. So she has set a record, and then Sanchez has responded by going out a fair bit harder down this hill. And Findlay more cautious over this one because, Sanchez has been there and done it. She knows exactly where her pace is and what her pace should be. As Chelsea Sodero now comes off the bike and into transition, completing her first 180 kilometres on the bike in a race in quite some time, having DNF'd in Hawaii last year. We go back to August 2025, so nearly 12 months ago when she went to Kalmar and finished third overall to make her way to Hawaii. Of course, didn't finish the bike there last year, but Marta off the front and working nice and hard for this win here. And it's when I was going back to look at where she last had a win, and it was in 2024 over the full distance in South Africa at Ironman South Africa. The same race that was won earlier this year by Matthew Marquardt. She's won a couple of Ironman. Oh no, I lie. Actually, after that, she won Ironman Barcelona at home in Spain in the back end of 2024. Didn't get a win last year, so that was her last victory. And she backed it up with Ironman 70.3 Western Australia. So had a good end to 2024 and a good 2024 in general. Hasn't won a race since then. So she'll be looking to end that. I wouldn't call it a drought. It's very hard to win a long course race, but put that 18 months to bed and win another one.
For as hard as Marta Sanchez charged out of T2, got a little bit away from Paula Findlay. Paula has kind of reeled her back in. Whether Sanchez has sort of settled in her pace, I don't know, or Paula picked it up a little bit to staple herself to the back of Sanchez, but that gap was a lot bigger, and Paula has now reeled her back in as they settle into the work here. The steepest of the downhills kind of behind them now. Again, this will be flat and rolling past the horse grounds, and then they'll have that downhill section past the ski jump onto River Road. And as these women headed out on the marathon course, I did catch Matthew Marquardt running back into town, so he is now along the golf course as these women head out of town.
Yeah, so they'll head out. It's about 4.5 miles at the turnaround point, and Findlay, as she has been doing, is going to try to pace herself off the back of what was a hard-charging Marta Sanchez. And she was about 15 seconds quicker for the first half a K as she went out on the downhill, but now that's kind of righted itself, as it tends to do. Meanwhile, Martin Van Riel over the last few splits has been putting in consistently faster splits now than Matthew Marquardt on the way back. It was 1:35 when they left. It went down to 1:11 at 6 kilometres, and now at 14 kilometres it's back at 1:35 again. So the time that was taken out has been put back in by Martin Van Riel. Trevor Foley started 7 minutes back, went down to 6:36. Now he's at 7:48 back at the 12.5 kilometre mark. So he got quicker and then dropped off as well. Ben Knute's gone from 7 minutes to 10 minutes back. Rudy von Berg from 11 to 13. Cameron Worth from 11 to 13 as well. There's not much between those two at the moment. Jason West is the only one that's putting time into Martin Van Riel at the moment. He is in 7th position still, and he's moving though. He's taking time out, and he looks like he'll probably mop up Worth and Von Berg, potentially. Meanwhile, this battle at the front, as it has been for the last 2 hours or more.
Heck, they're even taking nutrition in unison there as Marta Sanchez dips into a gel, as does Paula Findlay. Paula comes up on the shoulder, goes right past Marta Sanchez. Marta Sanchez takes the bait. The two are locked in.
Let's have a look at the Ruby T2 fastest times for the women. And just as we expected it to be, 1 second between the pair of them, in together, out together, and both of them putting more time in as they're spurred on by each other to Zelinskas, who was all on her own, with Sodaro a little bit further back. But these two are in a ding-dong battle at the moment, and neither of them really particularly seem to want to lead. Both of them relinquishing the front spot to the other one a couple of times. But Paula Findlay looks like she knows what she wants to do out there, and we know that Sanchez is extremely aware of her capabilities over the iron distance, and she would not want a debutante, even one as, I suppose, accomplished as Paula Findlay, to come to a race where she was on the podium last year and deny her the same way Solveig Lofseth did this time last year. And then obviously she went on to win the Ironman World championship, so there's probably not too much shame in that one. But Sanchez wants this one, and she doesn't want anyone to come in on debut and take it. Meanwhile, Martin Van Riel's holding more than steady out the front. The only man faster on course is Jason West. So he's at another of the turnaround points. So he'll get a look back now at exactly where Matthew Marquardt is. He'll be happy with it too. He'll be happy with where he sees where Marquardt is at the moment. It's around 125 back.
Here goes Sanchez back up onto the shoulder of Paula Findlay. You'd think these two were training mates out on a day together, the way they've been locked in since very early on the bike. Women's race absolutely heating up. Sodaro now settling into her paces, back and forth. Can she run her way up onto the podium? The marathon continues.
Just do it, we're fine. It's breakfast with precision. It's breakfast with precision.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome to Breakfast with Precision at Hugo's on the Rocks. I'm Andy Blow, co-founder of Precision Fuel and Hydration, and we are stoked to be the official hydration partner of the Ironman Global Series.
What are you doing on my set?
Get a plan for your next race at carefuldates.com.
Security!
It's breakfast with precision. It's breakfast with precision. Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
Welcome back to Lake Placid, where we are witnessing one of the great jewels at the front of this race. A debutante and a veteran over the iron distance, Paula Findlay of Canada, Marta Sanchez of Spain, doing battle in upstate New York on what has turned out to be a beautiful day for racing. And the pair of them will not be separated. They came together on the bike. There was a pack of four for a good long time, Chelsea Cesaro and Rachel Zelinskas, before these two drew away on the second lap and have continued to put time into those two. And those four right now are the only four who are out on the run. Zelinskas is in third position, nearly 5 minutes back now. So these two have gone out at a reasonably faster pace. Chelsea Sodaro is 30 seconds back on Zelinskas. Lisa Purter are currently in T2, 9 minutes in arrears right now, ahead of Grace Beck. Lara Hernandez-Tomei, who's turning a great swim into a great race in 7th and will pick up a Kona qualifying slot with that. Tamara Jewett is doing is about to do what we used to seeing her do, which is take the run by storm, but she's 22 minutes back as we speak. Fiona Moriarty of Ireland, nearly 30 minutes back in 9th, and Shiva Leisner is 30 minutes back. Those two will also pick up Kona qualifying slots as it stands. Martin Van Riel now 2 minutes ahead of Matthew Marquardt, so he has really brought an extra gear to the middle part of this marathon. Van Riel, he got down to about a minute, but he's now put a minute back in, and he's put that same time into Trevor Foley, Ben Canute, Rudy Von Berg, Cameron Worth, your top 6. Jason West is coming for Cameron Worth, though. He's about 1:45 behind Worth right now, and he is the only one who is running quicker than Van Riel. He's running about 3:32 average to Cam Worth's 3:47. So they're getting closer together. That is your top 6. As it stands at the moment, you're looking at Martin Van Riel of Belgium on the left. You're looking at Marta Sanchez and Paula Findlay on the right. And at very different stages in this race, but all looking supremely confident to be up the pointy end of a race with untold. How many pros are there? Lots. 80 plus
more than
pros
80
out there.
plus. Yep, 80 plus pros. And again, this downhill section we see on the right-hand side of your screen, it was the downhill out of town where Sanchez tried to stretch Finley. Finley doing her best to hold on here, but Sanchez definitely rolling these downhills. We'll see once they make that left onto River Road if Paul is able to get right back up onto her shoulder. But Marta Sanchez definitely rolling these downhills like a boss.
Yeah, she certainly is. She knows how to tackle the peculiarities of this course here in Lake Placid, site of 2 Winter Olympic Games. Beautiful place in the middle of the Adirondacks, a 6,000-acre national park, and very much a sporting feel here, even though it's been nearly 50 years since the last Winter Olympics. When I say nearly 50 years, that freaks me out because that's 1980. That doesn't seem that long ago. It was nearly half a century ago. Like another half a century before that, they barely invented cars.
I'm embarrassed to admit, I actually remember the 1980 Olympics, so let's just not go there. The fact that it was that long ago is disturbing. As we check in with Chelsea Sodaro, who is now running up on the shoulder of Rachel Zelinskis. Again, Chelsea Sodaro reveling in a healthy body and a strong mind here. You can't keep an athlete like Chelsea Sodaro on the sidelines. She just needs to be out there racing. It's been a long winter for sure, as the saying goes, but Chelsea Sodaro now making her way into 3rd place, running up to Rachel Zelinskis, and momentarily will move herself into 3rd place. Let's catch up with Chelsea and her thoughts on this Hoka run course here at Ironman Lake Placid.
Yeah, it's a challenging course. You know, it has some kind of rolling hills on it, which I like. I think it will really favor strong runners, especially in the second half of the course. And you really can't have a weakness here. So I think that, you know, some of the people who maybe overbike on a hard bike course like this will really pay for it on a run course, which I like. I'm starting to hunt people down.
There you go, Chelsea Sodaro has gone past, and she initially put a surge in to try and get rid of Rachel Zelinskis, although it's kind of steadied off at the moment. She looks good, though. She looks like the Chelsea Sodaro of old, and we know how much running pedigree she has. Only started running back again after ankle surgery at the end of May, so a couple of months into back running. So that's not the long-term mileage that you necessarily want, but it doesn't seem to be holding her back just at the moment.
Certainly not, and I think she'll lean on the deep running history she had. She was a runner for the University of California at Berkeley. She's got that in her back pocket for sure, and with that legacy of running behind her, I think that brings confidence. I think that also brings confidence that it wasn't that long ago she was the best in the world, having won the Ironman World Championship, and I think she still draws on that confidence. It's been a tough road for her since then. She did not follow that performance up in 23 with a performance that she would have liked. She was well back on the bike in Kona later that year, did run her way back into 6th place. And then, of course, the following year, she's just really struggled to put together a performance that reflects the magic that happened on that day. But I think she absolutely believes in her soul that those performances are still within her. Again, the stakes in this race not as high for Chelsea Sodaro. She simply needs to validate, display fitness, and start her march towards the Ironman World Championship in October with a healthy body. And for her, it'll be a relief because it'll be the first time in a long time she dealt with those foot issues for so long, which is why she opted to have the surgery, took a step back to hopefully take 3 or 4 steps forward as we check in with Matthew Marquardt.
Yeah, Marquardt losing time now to Martin Van Riel. So, putting a surge. First 10 Ks was strong from Matthew Marquardt. Now 2:23 back at 70.7 kilometre mark. He's still got a healthy buffer over Trevor Foley. He would hate to see himself on the second step of the podium again after 2024 to Foley, but I think there's, in whatever combination, Van Riel, Marquardt and Foley, you'd be mad to bet against those 3 to be the podium today. There still could be some movement here and there. We've We've still got a whole half marathon or a little bit more to go. It's going to be a fast one. Projected time now for Martin Van Riel, 7:41.28, which is nearly 9 minutes faster than the current race record time. Matthew Marquardt looks like he might turn in a race 5 minutes faster. And there is Jason West, who is the fastest out on course at the moment. I love Jason West. I love that he sets himself a running pace that will put him on the podium, and then he just keeps trying to run at that pace until he blows up. And I like that from him. He's not a conservative guy, and I appreciate that. But rather than let me tell you about it, let's hear from the man himself.
It's just up and down. I feel like last year, the amount of downhills was tough, and I remember looking down at my watch, and I was at 28 Ks, and I thought, oh my gosh, I might not make it. So I did a lot of hilly, harder run preparation in the lead up to this event. So yeah, I feel like I'm definitely a lot more prepared than I've ever been. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Jason West,
There you go. Maybe you can go longer.
Yeah, such a likable guy. He's not flashy. You don't see him bragging, boasting. You don't see him out on social media. He really keeps to himself. He trains by himself largely. Doesn't have a big training group. He really just gets the job done, and one of the hardest workers you'll find in the sport, and great to see him moving up to the full distance. Another guy who came from a short course background, didn't make the Olympic team, but moved up to 70.3 middle distance, had great success there, and has come up to the Ironman distance. And with the weapon he has at the end of his races with that run and his ability to run people down, it's something to watch. Continues to work on that bike to keep him in close contact with the front of the race. It's just not there yet, but over time he is definitely building in that direction, and great to watch him run as Finley now taking a couple of strides lead ahead of Marta Sanchez down on the River Road.
Yeah, just talking about West, I mean, he's done three Ironman races, and he hasn't finished his last two. So he'll be his main goal. He hasn't finished one since Lake Placid last year, where he finished 5th and he ran at 2:37. Then he DNF'd in Nice, and he DNF'd again in Texas. So I think his main goal will be to get to the end of this race in one piece and put together a solid top 10 performance, which he's on track for right now. But maybe he's not setting that pace, that blow up or podium pace. Maybe he's toned that down a little bit. We'll see how it's going. But right now he's the fastest man out on course, and you're right. Finlay has just stolen 5 seconds or so out on Sanchez, but they're still very much glued together at the moment. But Finlay happy to run out the front on her own just right now. And of course, there's still very much early doors in this one. They've gone past just about 4 or 5 kilometres now. And Finlay running at around a 3:52-ish pace. Sanchez around 3:51, so there's nothing between them. But the pair of them both running significantly faster than Rachel Zelinskas, but not quite as fast as Chelsea Sodaro, who's slightly faster out there. Lisa Perder running around 3:56. Grace Tech running around 4:10s at the moment, which is unusual.
Yeah.
Don't often see 4s. And then Laura Hernandez-Tomei, 3:58 pace. Tamara Jewett is tracking her down now for 7th overall. But there was a lot of trepidation, but excitement and nervousness around this race for Paula Finlay, but especially around the run, especially around the back end of the run, which she is approaching right now. Let's hear what she had to say earlier on.
Yes, I've ridden 180K. I've obviously swam 3.8K every day of my life, pretty much. But the run is like unknown territory. I've never done more than a 30K run. So that scares me a little, but I know I'm fit enough to do it. It's more just like the muscular fatigue and like what that'll feel like. And obviously there'll be some low lows where if I'm imagining the whole thing as a 42K, it's overwhelming, but breaking it into pieces of like, hey, we're just going out and back on River Road. That's 8K. You can do that. And then think about the next 5K. Think about the next 5K. So if my mind can handle that, breaking it down and getting through the low points by taking a gel or just like looking forward to the next thing, I think I can make it through. Although it's really hard to imagine finishing a marathon, but I know I can do it.
Good advice you're giving yourself there, I think, and it's kind of nice for this one if it's your first one, because you've got 3 out and backs that you can really segment the run into manageable mental chunks.
It is a great course for that, given the looped nature of the course, you know, swim, bike, and run, and particularly when you get deep into it and those mental hurdles seem harder to overcome, the fact that you have so many out and backs on the run, that you can break it down even to less than laps. You can break it down into minute mini laps within the out and backs. And it's one thing, the one thing I've been impressed with is we talk to these athletes before the race and they tell us sort of what they want to tell themselves, but whether or not they're actually believing it. And so far today, Paula is absolutely executing it. Conservative start to the bike, building her way through that first lap, really strong second half of the bike. And she really is executing what she said she wanted to and was planning to. So it's one thing to think that that's what you want to do, and then another thing altogether to have the poise and the patience to execute in that manner. And so far, gold stars for Paula Findlay on that.
Absolutely. And as we said before on the bike, the longer the run goes on, if she feels good, the more the confidence will grow and grow and grow. Although that little, the post 30k mark is obviously in her head, as it is for anyone who hasn't run a marathon. And we're talking about Jason West being the fastest out there. At the moment, he can run himself back into 4th with the current paces, although there's going to be only a minute separating 4th, 5th and 6th, which is kind of that Trevor Foley, Ben Canute, Rudy Von Berg, Jason West level, maybe Cam Worth in there as well, depending if he can have a better run. But we're going to head down now to Haley, who no doubt is going to see some of our athletes go past right now.
All right, I am standing right at mile 13.1, 21 kilometers, the halfway point of this Ironman marathon. And here comes Martin Van Riel, our men's leader. He is running this downhill. He'll be making the turn. He just got to pass. Trevor Foley is headed on the uphill. So Trevor Foley here is about, I'd say a little over a mile behind, and they just got to cross paths. They got to make eye contact. Trevor knows exactly how far behind he is, and Martin knows exactly how far ahead he is. Martin had the definite advantage of being the downhill athlete in that situation, where Trevor is headed uphill. We are going to wait a couple minutes and we'll see Matthew Marquardt come through. In the meantime, I'll throw it back to you in the studio.
Doing a great job out there. There is Cam Worth, there is Jason West. So Jason West has moved himself up into 6th position, and he looks really strong. He's got that forward lean, and he just looks like he's hunting. He's got that kind of body positioning that looks like he is hunting people down on the run, like he always does, pretty much. And Cam Worth's just like, more power to you, pal, off you go. I'll see you later on.
Yeah. Cameron Worth was holding pace there with Rudy Von Berg for a while, but that gap 30 seconds. So next on Jason West's agenda will be Rudy Von Berg, who will be about 30-ish seconds up the road. In fact, here's our cameraman going to get eyes on Rudy Von Berg.
Again, you can see him there, coming into shot.
Yep, coming back into town along this golf course. This is downhill. They run uphill to turn around on the golf course. This would be downhill. They'll make that right-hand turn. They'll have that really steep incline up towards running past the oval, and then a nice flat section along Mirror Lake out and back. But I don't think Rudy Von Berg will be super pleased to see how aggressively Jason West is moving at this point. It seems like a pass to Rudy Von Berg may be inevitable, but Rudy Von Berg doing the job. He's got his Kona slot. He's here for points. So he's trying to minimize the gaps to the front to pick up as many points in the series as he can. This is all about points for Rudy Von Berg.
Absolutely. If you look at the Pro Series standings right now, if it stands as it is, Rudy Von Berg is 2nd overall in the Pro Series standings. If it finishes right now as it is, Ben Canute moves up into 3rd overall in the Pro Series standings. Casper Storms drops to 4th. Trevor Foley moves into 5th, and Gustav Eden drops into 6th. So lots of change coming potentially. And Rudy Von Berg will think to himself, going into championship season, that's a potential $130,000 US, which is not nothing. Even for a high-powered media personality like Dee Griesbauer, 130,000 moves the needle a little bit.
I mean, that's what I'm getting for today. I don't know about you.
I'm actually on work experience. It's going great.
There you go. Matthew Marquardt running through town again, past the oval, hand up in the air, little fist pump, acknowledging the crowd, drawing in that energy from the crowd as he heads back out of town. Martin Van Riel already clear out of town on his way back out.
Yeah, Marquardt is still waving to the crowd, still enjoying it. We're getting reports down there that he's still getting some energy from the crowd, which is always a good sign. Then when things aren't going so well, you can get the blinkers on and just be in your own little pain cave or red zone. But these two looking good, just as they were on the bike, leading, as they are now on the run, leading. Van Riel continuing to put time into the rest. He's gone past the first half marathon, now into the second half marathon, and he's 2:37 ahead of Matthew Marquardt, which is the greatest the gap has been since probably about the 150-kilometre mark on the bike. So he's eked it out. It was 1:35 at the start of the run, so he's put another minute in over the first half marathon. Trevor Foley, he's put 3 minutes into Trevor Foley, who is sitting in third position, and he's put 5 minutes into Ben Canute as Martin Van Riel. So he is showing the Americans how it's done here in America. Paula Findlay, meanwhile, is running about the exact same pace on average as Marta Sanchez, but has a little advantage over her at the moment.
Yeah, she made the U-turn there on River Road, and in a pure veteran move, checked the watch so she could get some splits. Marta Sanchez still right there, a mere 9 seconds in arrears to Paula Findlay, but it'll be quite a bit up the road before they see the pair of Chelsea Sodaro, who has now put a gap of about minute 10 between herself and Rachel Zielinskis. So again, the women fairly well spread out as well. As we check Matthew Marquardt as he comes out of town, and let's check the Athletic Brewing podium prediction for our men at this stage of the race. Predicts Martin Van Riel, Matthew Marquardt in second, and Jason West, if he can keep this up, into third. But there's a lot of running, and I will say this second half of the marathon, not only is Paula Findlay leery of this, but even the veterans are leery of this last half marathon on this course. This marathon will chew your legs up with the hills off a challenging bike. So our podium predictor, as of right now, Van Riel, Marquardt, Jason West. We'll see if that holds true through the next 13.1 miles.
Oh, Jason West, big call by the Athletic Brewing podium predictor. Huge call. He must be absolutely flying. I mean, we know that he is, but he's 15 minutes and 40 seconds back. Can he outrun Trevor Foley from this distance away, who's 10 minutes back? So he's 5 minutes back on third place. And can he put 5 minutes into Trevor Foley over a half marathon and a bit? Oh, massive call, podium predictor. Let's find out. Von Berg, he sits between those two men right now. And he's only 15 seconds clear now of Jason West. Look at the pace that Jason West is running. 3:32 to Von Berg's 3:49 to Foley's 3:45. So, I don't know, maybe the podium predictor's right. Maybe the computers are right. Maybe AI's replacing us all, DB.
Not your charm and personality, Bill, I promise.
Please. That'll be the first thing AI does. Straight past that.
As we have Rudy Von Berg stops.
Work.
Rudy Von Berg stopping at the personal needs, not stopping, but jogging through personal needs, gets that personal nutrition there in his left hand, grabbing every cup from every awesome volunteer out there on the Ironman Lake Placid course. These races, of course, not possible without our wonderful volunteers. So to everyone who takes the time to volunteer during race day, a huge thank you. It's a great, great way to get a front row seat to the athletes out there on course, as Paula Findlay continues to lead Marta Sanchez by a handful of seconds on debut in her very first Ironman Again, uncharted territory for Paula Findlay here at the Athletic Brewing Ironman Lake Placid. Your women's leader, Paula Findlay.
It's the beauty of Oman. Our tradition, our hospitality, the sounds of limitless opportunities to explore. Listen, it's Oman.
You know, and we know. The thing about challenging yourself is, you're always looking for what's next.
Welcome back to Lake Placid as this race continues to take shape, and we're so proud to be able to bring this to you. Thanks so much to Experience Oman. Beauty has an address, endurance has a destination. Experience Oman, and after that really poetic one, I'm going to say Morton. Get used to it, which is a little bit at the other end of the scale, but no less effective. So there you go. Those two helping us bring you this telecast. And the telecast right now is showing Paula Findlay absolutely in control in her first Ironman, and still running sub 4-minute pace. And just as it starts to get hot and sticky out there, some of the athletes are starting to blow out a little bit. 4:17 average pace for Rachel Zelinskas, 4:06 for Lisa Perder, 4:36 for Laura Hernandez-Tomei. Tamara Jewett 3:43. Fiona Moriarty's only just started, but she's at 3:42. That's just the little downhill bit at the beginning. But Tamara Jewett is nearly a minute a kilometre faster than Laura Hernandez-Tomei, and she will swallow her up really quickly if that continues. Grace Thick, Lisa Perder are not really running how we would expect them to run at the moment. But at the front, 3:55 average pace for Findlay and Sanchez. Shiva Leisner now out onto the run as well. 33 minutes and 38 seconds in arrears. On screen right now is Marta Sanchez, an absolute study in consistency, Marta Sanchez, and she's a little bit behind Paula Findlay. And there is Chelsea Sodaro, who no doubt main goal, Dee Dee, would be to put together a strong Ironman where she feels good in parts and can be happy with the race that she put out on the day. But also, considering that she's now in third position overall, she will be very keen to make sure she stands on the podium at race end.
Yeah, I think today is all about building confidence for Chelsea Sodaro. She's come off a rough go of it. She didn't validate until very, very late last year at Ironman Kalmar. Gave herself an abbreviated runway, had a good build in Dakota, but then pulled out very early on the bike at the Ironman World Championship. Obviously not herself, and had a tough winter, battling injuries, decided to have surgery in March. Again, we haven't seen her finish a race since Kalmar, and even then it wasn't a great performance from her there. It was just enough to get the job sort of done. Was not in the position where she wanted to be, so I think today is all about reestablishing herself, putting together a solid swim, solid bike, solid run, and giving herself a springboard to launch into her Ironman World Championship preparation with an added dose of confidence.
Absolutely. So, Van Riel on the left, Findlay on the right. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube, on DAZN or one of the other regional broadcasters around the world, and what you're looking at is two supreme short course to long course athletes who are more than doing the job out here. And now, and the majestic quad box, you're seeing first and second at the top, Van Riel and Marquardt in the men's race, and first and third on the bottom. Of course, there's two of them together in Finlay and Sanchez, and then there is Chelsea Sodaro behind, who looks strong. She's 5 minutes in arrears, but she looks strong. She went past Rachel Zelinskas, but she looks in form. All four of them do, actually, and there's absolutely zero crowd support right now. Listen in. The serenity, Dee Dee.
You hear serenity, I hear pain in the legs from every step that's being taken there. Ow, 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 ow. This deep into
what
an
we
Ironman.
Can't hear, which is all the athletes are hearing, is...
yeah. Questioning life's choices at this point, but all four of these athletes on screen having great days out there today. Whether they're feeling as great as they're looking and as great as their performance is indicating is to be determined. But right now, it has been a fantastic race, different than what we would have expected, with both fields ultimately spread out pretty significantly, particularly in the men's race. Of course, Finlay and Sanchez have been pretty well stapled together. Although now some separation starting to come with a 14-second gap from Paula Finlay as she leads Marta Sanchez.
Yeah, we've had another DNF, unfortunately, in the women's race. So 4 athletes now have failed to finish. Of the 33 athletes that were out there in the pro field, Carolyn Olsen and Basso, Kelsey Barnholt, Brittany Talbot. Barnholt and Talbot didn't get out of the swim in the end. I mean, they did get out of the swim, but not in the race. So they're not still there in the water. Don't worry. I know Barnholt was quite ill in the swim, so she ended up pulling out around 1,200 metres. But that's 4 athletes, so 28 athletes remaining in this race. One of them, Caitlin Alexander, is well back, still at the 80.1 kilometres on the bike, but she's still, according to our timing sheets, in this race. So she would have had some issues there and continued on. Emily Pincus, we haven't talked about for a while. She's dropped well back to 20th place. Samantha Skold as well, still on the bike out there in 14th position. Daniela Eberle. Just about to come off the bike, 40 minutes in arrears in 13th position. And in the men's, Paul Lazo and Ross Baldwin, both DNFs, and 4 athletes didn't start today, didn't rack the bikes. Colin Zutch, Dylan Magnian, Rasmus Svenningsson, Matthew Dochnall, and some names that are well back. Matt Kerr, 6.6 Ks into the run. He's over an hour back at the moment. Pamphile Perrine had a big mechanical. He's nearly an hour back in 26th position. Cody Beals. Only won this race a few years ago. He's 52 minutes back. Tom Gordon was up there in the swim. He's 50 minutes back at the moment in 23rd position. Matt Schaefer, 41 minutes back. Matt Collins, 38 minutes back. Fraser Minikin, over half an hour back in 13th. And Martin Van Riel, 3 minutes ahead of everyone.
Martin Van Riel now going past Tamara Jewett. Obviously, Martin Van Riel on his second lap, Tamara Jewett on her first. But Tamara Jewett looking very determined, running very well, to be determined if she can put together the kind of marathon she did a year ago. She is well back in the women's race, but going to the work to accumulate some valuable Pro Series points for Tamara Jewett, minimize that gap. Every second is a point.
Yeah, she's on track for a 6th position at this current speed, which is significantly higher than where she is now. But handy to be able to tuck in behind Martin Van Riel for a little while, and she did outrun every single male pro last year, but 2.
Yep. So Tamara Jewett trying to catch a bit of a ride on the Martin Van Riel train. Again, the first time she'll have had company all day.
There's a joke there with like rails and reel, like the Martin Van rails, the train, but I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
The railway,
It'll
the
come to
railway
you.
station. I don't know
It'll
what
come
it
to
is,
you.
but it's something. It's there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But I think it's gone now. The moment's gone, unfortunately. I mean, we're 6.5 hours into this telecast, and my brain's not working like it was at the beginning. I would have had it for you. But
Again, a look
2:40
of-
last year for Tamara Jewett.
Yeah,
That's
a look
20 minutes faster than anyone else.
look of real determination on her face, and she is actually holding stride for stride, at least for now, with Martin Van Riel. We talked to Tamara about this marathon course before the